society and people have moved on, and gliding has not. Gliding is still in the 1950s and 60s. Have you come across, obviously what we'd like is the answer, what are we supposed to do? Have you come across any clubs, I suppose anywhere, that have made some progress in solving this problem, in providing a gliding environment or a learning structure or whatever it is that has made it easier for the youth to come along and enjoy themselves?
Well, it's a really good question, because there are some clubs which have done better. I wouldn't say anybody's done really well.
No.
But there are clubs that have done better. There are clubs like Granson at the moment seems to be doing quite well, Easter seems to be doing quite well, who are doing better. But we are all working on the basic, I think, false assumption that what we mean by gliding going on is by carrying on as we know it. And it won't carry on as we know it. That's the whole point. The world's changed, but gliding hasn't. We cannot expect gliding as we know it to carry on. So clubs will disappear. And if you were 18, 19, 20-year-old now and you wanted to take up a sport, you generally wouldn't just go and join a club. You go to a professional school somewhere. If you want to go hang gliding or water skiing, or skiing or sailboating or something like that, generally you'd go to a commercial club. All the RYA yachting schools are commercially run. And it's a completely different environment. You're a customer. You come in, you're not expected to do anything other than what customers do. We missed that boat 20 years ago. We've never gone down that route. And we can't expect...
That would put the price up there, Brian? Because
Yeah,
it's
but
like golf, they're all professional coaches, but it's quite expensive to go for a golf lesson.
Well, I think maybe that's what we have to accept. Actually, I don't agree. I don't necessarily think it puts the price up, because the price of training at the moment is already very high because it's inefficient. So if you made the training system much more inefficient, you needn't necessarily make it much more expensive. And I can tell you that because I retired early, having 25 years in the European Soaring Club with enough money to carry on living, and we didn't overcharge, I don't think. We charged club rates, and we just ran very efficiently. Yeah,
they tend to do that in the States, don't they? They have more professional.
That's a slightly
instructors.
different environment, but they have a similar problem there. But you see, I think that it's a conceptual thing. We tend to think of it the way it is now, but I don't think it will stay the way it is now. And in my mind, the model will be, the model I would like, and I've been pushing for years in the BJ when I was there, is that you have several places in the country, 10 places, maybe 9, 6 places or whatever, which provide really efficient, positive, well-organised training in a good environment with nice facilities and so on. People go along there in a week, they've gone solo, they've learned to fly, they can go back on further courses. The French do this, works really well. They then go and join a club. So the clubs don't do training. They do supervising, they do flying after training, they don't do training. It takes a burden off the clubs to find all these instructors. We also can change the efficiency of the club, because instead of doing, how many trial lessons do you do a year? How many trial lessons do you do at Southdown? 400 or 500. It's not very many by some club standards. Yeah? And how many of those people are members at the end of the year?
2%. 2% roughly.
Who said that?
Most.
Yeah. 2%. And after 2 years?
Yes.
You see, get to the point. If I were running Marks and Spencer's and 400 people walked in through my shop door every year and only 2 of them bought anything, I'd seriously think about my marketing and what I was selling. Yeah. I'd have a real hard think about where I was going. And we don't do it. We just say, these people don't understand this. They don't fit in. They're not like us. Yeah. We're here at 9 o'clock in the morning and hang a door in their muddy boots. It's just that it won't carry on as way it is. One thing will change. The machines will change. As the market's changing, people will buy at the top end really expensive gliders, and they won't want to fly them in environments which are not conducive to that. We're seeing that already. When you fancy new big gliders, they're bloody expensive. €200,000, 200,000 euros for a JS1 now. I think an SW19s are so much. It's always been a lot of money, but now it's a great deal of money. And the population in gliding aren't the sort of people who are going to shell that out, because they're not looking for that investment anymore. So where's the growth coming? The growth's coming down in the microlight market. Now you don't see that in UK, because in UK to fly a microlight you need pretty much the same qualification as you need for an aeroplane. You know, it's difficult in the UK. You've got a medical, air law tests and all that sort of nonsense. You can go and get a microlight license in France in the morning. It's 4 hours flying or something like that. If you're a glider pilot, it's dead easy. If you're not a glider pilot, it's about 8 or 9 hours, something like that. It's a couple €100. Sorry, now it's about €600-700, but it's quick. You can go and get a microlicense really quickly. And then you can fly a microlight glider without a license, without medical, without a regime of maintenance. I'm trying to think of the English word now. Regime maintenance that we have with gliding, for example. So the real growth in machines and new market will start to become these 13.5 metre electrically powered gliders. UK, you don't see it. In France, they sold more 13.5 metre electrically powered gliders last year than all the other gliders put together. They're catching on in Eastern Europe big time. In Italy, there's something like about 60 or 70 of them sold in the last year. And what you're seeing is a big growth at that end of the market, because people who want to go gliding who don't like our system want to do something else. So they're saying, I don't have to go through all that crap. I buy one of these things, I find a strip somewhere, I put the wings on myself, it's dead easy, make sure the battery's charged, I've got 20 minutes of power, I go up to 1,000 metres, I go soaring all day, motor home, put it in the box and I go away. And I haven't got to have any of that stuff. So that's maybe what's going to happen. Maybe that's one of the things that will happen. And it will, there are, I should think, I've been recently to 2 or 3 clubs which only have self-launching K21s. They don't aerotow at all for training. Why? It's too expensive. It's too expensive. Tug pilots, infrastructure, you need people to run the wings. We have an instructor, and people come, they book their lesson like a power club, they go soaring, they come back, they have a check flight somewhere, they go and fly their 719 or whatever. It is changing, but it's not changing very quickly, and it's not changing necessarily the way you might like it.
These are self-powered K21s.
Yeah,
Self-launching
K21s.
Yeah. They didn't sell many of those, but there are some around.
Oh yeah, there are clubs buying those beat through so they don't have to wear a tow for training. So there are changes taking place, but it is very slow, and in the UK really, really slow. But I would say that from the feedback I get is if you were a young pilot who wanted to get on, you're probably more likely to get on Lasham than you are at a small club, simply because it's more anonymous, there's less barriers, and it's easy to get on. I don't know whether that's true or not, because I don't like Lasham very much, and I don't mind it. Just like you, I'm a bit more passionate about my gliding.
Why do you think the rate of change here is lower than that of Europe then?
Because we're too conservative by half. We don't take risks, we're far too conservative, we've been far too concerned about our relationship with the CAA and all these things. You know, we're just too nice, responsible people to do that sort of stuff. You know? And we have very nice committees of volunteers who don't want to stick their neck out. It's just the environment is completely different to what you find in other places. It is the same problem in Germany, Holland, France. They all have the same problem, and they're tackling it in different ways. And it will be quite a long time before you see the benefit. But gliding hasn't fundamentally changed in the way in which it's run and organised since I started gliding, and that's a bloody long time. And I keep looking at it thinking, it's weird, isn't it? It all feels so familiar to me, because it is. I mean, we could have been sitting there 40 years ago dressed pretty much the same. Wouldn't make much difference at all. So, I mean, I don't want to labour the point, but it does frustrate me personally, because I decided in 1986 I would no longer work for a committee, because it's just too conservative. They don't take any. They don't want to get on. They want it to be like this. There's a lovely story about. I won't name him, but the guy who used to whinge a lot about the way it was. He was an arms salesman actually. And he used to fly with us a lot. And you'll know who I'm talking about, but he was an arms salesman, and he used to bitch and bitch and bitch about gliding and the way it was organised and stuff. And I say to him, well, go and become bloody club chairman and do something about it. So one day I found out that he'd gone back at his club and he's put himself up for club chairman. He got elected as club chairman. And there he was, club chairman, and I got some feedback some months later about the first committee meeting they had. And the first committee meeting, he said, right, he said, the first thing we're going to do, he says, those people, we're not going to renew their membership, they're out of the club. And they said, well, he said, because they're such a pain. He said, they're just such a drag on the club, they're always whinging, they're always saying, get them out of here. Right? They said, you can't do that. And he said, why not? I'm the chairman. And you think, well, you know, if it was Marks and Spencer who'd done it, wouldn't he? Yeah. If it had been, if the club had genuinely wanted to change the way around, they'd have said, okay, let's try it. Yeah? But they didn't. They've been here for 30 years. That bloke's been sitting, he's been mending that winch for 30 years. Why doesn't it bloody work then?
Brian, in your opinion then, how much of the answer is at the club level to change and how much at the national level in the UK?
It's a fundamental weakness of British gliding. The British Gliding Association is made up of clubs and not individuals. So the British Gliding Association is managed by an executive committee which is voted in by the chairman of gliding clubs. And the entire structure is revolves around giving the clubs an environment in which they can work by the BGA. And if you go, for example, to America, none of the commercial there is a commercial operated membership, but you individually are a member of the Soaring Society of America. You get a vote. Yeah? So it's a democracy in the sense that everybody can vote for what they want and the way they want it. So we are not the same sort of democracy. The club chairman is supposed to vote in the way the club wants them to, and mostly they do. Yeah, but it's the you can't expect people who love Beatles to go to a Beethoven concert. Yeah? And that's basically, we only play one sort of music. Yeah? We only play one sort of music, so we can only expect one sort of music lover to come. And whilst we do that, the Beatles fans are going to stay away. They're going to say, I don't like the music. And it's been structured like that for years, that the BGA does what the clubs want, and the clubs want it to stay as it is because they're conservative. Because, oh dear, we're getting to deep water here. How many people on the club? How many people here on the club committee? Oh, no, up. Well done, so you're very honest. Yeah. My experience of club committees, they're made up of the people who've got the time and are hanging around with the club all the time to do something. Yeah. And it's all the willing volunteers and the willing guys and the guys who are there. It's natural they run the club in the way they like it. So these are not the people we want to attract in at the bottom end. And they do a lot of work and a lot of fantastic work. But the people managing our organisations and managing it, they're doing a fantastic job, but they're managing it the way they like it. Yeah? And that's understandable. So whilst we have that, and they then